talking real spicy, Rico. This is going to be a good game, huh? This is going to be a good game. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys take on the Carolina Panthers, man, in a week 6 matchup. Huge game for the Cowboys. I know I say that every week, but listen, go into each game and let's play hard and don't overlook any opponent, especially this Carolina Panthers, who I think, and I say this about a lot of teams, but this team is actually very close to being a serious good team in the future. I kind of respect this franchise a little bit. The only thing, the one blemish I really do hate is how they try to basically act like Cam Newton never exists and wash away his whole history. Just some superstitions, affecting everything like that. I think that's mainly the reason why they having this long drought, so many quarterbacks, etc. But they finally probably found someone in Bryce Young. I will give them that. Other than that, when you look at the stats of our matchups in the past, the Cowboys and Panthers, the Cowboys pretty much have dominated in the past. A lot of historic games from our players. I remember, I can't get out of my mind the Deron Bland pick and the interception. It's a lot. It's very much so lopsided, but we cannot forget that this is still a franchise that is led by a young, hungry head coach that is actually respectable QB mind, and Dave Canales, who's worked in the past with some QBs. I think he's in charge of the development and the inflection point in Baker Mayfield's career back into the Buccaneers, but this has granted him a head coaching job with the Panthers. Now, this is an organization that's had a lot of turnover in terms of coaching in the past, and they just have, as far as talent, they're not short of leadership when it comes to the direction of their franchise. And so don't overlook this team. Still a strong roster with a very much so firm identity in there, and they built a physical identity behind or in front of said quarterback. And I very much so respect them because, accountability fundamentals and just simplifying it for the young guys is at the basis of their identity. So like I said, Dave Canales, someone you should respect because he's a respectable young, offensive mind. Of course, his base system, we should all know well, because we had, a previous head coach in Mike McCarthy that ran the same system, and it's the West Coast base system. Like I said, former QB coach with the Seahawks, former OC with the Buccaneers, and he's been the Panthers head coach since 2024. Comes from the Pete Carroll and Shane Waldron tree. The Pete Carroll, that means he's a high octane guy. We should know that with Brian Schottenheimer, very much so a player's coach. You gotta it's important to look at some people's history, because your history is how you and the makeup of what you are today. And the Shane Waldron tree, I believe that's the West Coast, and it comes from like that. Of course, we already know the West Coast emphasizes timing, play action, movement. Bryce Young is a smaller stature quarterback. Everyone knows smaller stature quarterbacks behind a tall offensive line is ranging from 6'4" to 6'6" and everything like that. It's best to move their launching point so they can get comfortable and get some easy buttons and everything like that. He's very much so a talented quarterback. We're gonna get into that, okay? And of course, with coordinators that base their entire system on rhythm. Of course, moving to the OC, that's going to be the engineer behind the architects. Dave Canales' system is the OC, Brad Idzik. He worked under Canales at Tampa Bay and Seattle. This is somebody who's very familiar and probably had him first on the list when he got, said job. You know what I'm saying? Where he brings is the RPO and the short timing routes, of course, getting playmakers in space, working in the middle areas and everything like that. And of course, adding to said rhythm and said confidence in said quarterback. The DC is Ejiro Evero. He's a Vic Fangio disciple. Very first I seen that. Former DC of the Broncos. Vic Fangio came from the Broncos and everything like that. So he's pretty much had some very respectable defenses. We're going to have to pay attention to that defense today. Runs a hybrid 3-4 front. We know that that's what the Vic Fangio, they love doing them hybrid fronts, man. So with two high shells, heavy disguise at the pre-snap. So that means he wants to confuse said quarterback, but we have a good quarterback that has seen it all before, man. He's seen it all before, so everything like that. So of course, attack this explosive front. We're going to get into the personnel because I think this defense is the main reason why I am very much so respecting this team right here. They are building something, and everyone in the NFL should actually pay attention to what they're building, okay? And of course, I trust my quarterback to take advantage of the play action and draw their safeties down into the box. Of course, at the top of their report, I got Bryce Young, but I got him in the photo right here. I got, everyone who loved coming out of Arizona, the wide receiver, Ted McMillan. I want to start with him first. Rookie standout, good body control. He's translated to the league pretty well, I will say that. As far as being the said best receiver in this, of the rookie class, man, Abuka is just going crazy down there in Buccaneer land, but he's still dangerous even though, and they're building a very dangerous wide receiving core with him, Leggett. I still have respect for Leggett, even though Leggett is not producing. He's just a physical specimen that is coming out of South Carolina and everything like that, and a yak player. So look, I don't want this to be the game that he finally goes off and everything like that. We know about Rico Dowdle, who's getting all these snaps because running back Chuba Hubbard, who's on my fantasy team, need to come back. We know about Rico, a good downhill zone runner. He's a volume runner. I can name this on top of my head. So he gets as he get more carries, the more dangerous Rico gets because he gets more comfortable in the field within the game. Reliable in the pass pro, and he has a sneaky athleticism. Not going to run you away. But going back to the quarterback in Bryce Young, who I know a lot of people were out on early on, but I'm telling you right now, him with Dave Canales, I think that was the best thing that the Panthers could ever do. Somebody who was going to simplify it for him. And I'm telling you, he's not extremely dangerous, but when he gets comfortable and he gets in that zone from the pocket, them rolling his launch points and everything like that, he can become very dangerous with this arsenal he got around him. So it's something to pay attention to. And the offensive line in front of him is pretty average. I will say you that. That's the one thing I believe that's keeping this team from being a very much so respectable team in their own division in NFC South. Let me get to this defense, okay? We're not even going to listen. This defense is a contender's defense. I will say that this is one of the best defenses I think in the league. Very, very, very underrated. First of all, the player we almost traded Micah Parsons for, I would have hit a backflip in this seat right now. Derrick Brown. Derrick Brown, I think is the consensus best D tackle. He led the league in I think he broke a record for having tackles as a D tackle, controls the line of scrimmage. I know we named all these other names, Quinnen, William, Dexter Lawrence. I'm telling you right now, the guy that you do not want to face, and if he was on a better team, he would get a lot more clout, is Derrick Brown. I'm telling you, that type of effect that, that made the Panthers reconsider even when, presented a generational player in Micah, cause they understand how much he impacts their defense and they move him around a lot. I saw they have a 3-4 defense. Sometimes he's in the nose, but they have another nose on his team. So sometimes they'll put that big body on the 3. So this is going to probably be, I would say, one of the most underrated teams to run the ball against this week. If we truly have a weatherproof run game and a run game that can never be stopped, this game is going to be one of the highlights of that. Shout out to JC Horn, physical press corner. I'm glad he's staying healthy. We can finally see him play some good football and everything like that. Thrives in man coverage. We're going to see how he matches up versus George Pickens. I'm taking the Cowboys every time, okay? He's still, where he struggles is actually traveling with somebody. So maybe this week we may see some inverted looks with George Pickens in the slot or just in a bunch set. We'll see how he navigates in traffic. The strong safety, Trevon Moorhead, instinctive safety with great range. Nose tackle, Ashawn Robinson. I think he's from Bama. I remember him, a vet. You know what I'm saying? We all know about them vet nose tackles. I respect all veteran nose tackles. They got a very much so that old man strength. We got to very much so pay attention to. And we not with our starters this week. So hey, we're gonna see how we handle in the middle. I know we got getting some offensive linemen back, so we good. And then a Christian Rosenboom, underrated downhill, tackler, strong instincts, and but limited in coverage nonetheless. So how do I think we should win this game? The keys to victory for the Dallas Cowboys. I think first and foremost, we need to establish a run game versus, I know I say this week in and week out. This is a defense, and I'm telling you right now that we cannot overlook. This is a very good defense. Very, very good. Control the clock, etc. The name of this video is Control Game. I'm telling you, this is going to be a game that we're going to very, very much so need to control. As far as our defense, we cannot let Bryce Young settle and dictate the pace early. I want our young linebackers to have a phenomenal game of flying around, making tackles. We have been doing pretty good of limiting the big play. Let's not let them do that with Tet, with Xavier Leggett, with Tommy Tremble, the tight end. This is a game that I want. It's going to be a building block for our defense, man. Okay, and exploit the rotations and coverage and everything like that. I am very confident in this game. All in all, looking back, listen, man, this game is going to be another one of those. I expect this Dallas Cowboys team to go in and handle business, because I understand they should understand how important this game is, and going in there, we cannot afford, and we should understand the stakes of this NFC and the NFC East. I trust my quarterback in Dak. It is up to the rest of the team to match said, intensity. Now, it is theirs for them taking in games like these, like we said with the Jets, like we said with the Giants, like we said with any other team. But you cannot overlook your opponent, but you must go in there and execute. It's up to you to go in there and have the mindset to finish. That's been my time, Cowboy Nation. Make sure to like and subscribe the video. Hype the video. Until next time. Peace.